Have some remarks on testing that may be a little fragmented. First of all, let me provide some facts on the two major international tests that are available with a recommendation for Delaware. There are two international tests. One is PISA, Programs for International Student Assessment. This is a test given to 15-year-olds, and it is a test mainly of skills. We don't do that well on it, but this is the one that Finland did very well on, that sent it to international fame about 10 years ago. The other test is called TIMSS, Trends in International Mathematics and Science Survey. That is a test of the curriculum. It is the best international test out there because it matches what seems to be the curriculum and tests at grades 4 and 8. This is the one Massachusetts has entered as a country twice. It was in 07 and then in 11. And Delaware could enter as a country. It will be the only test that gives you independent information on how your kids are doing in math and science. It is not the one favored by the USDE. They want to go with PISA, not TIMSS. But having looked at the two tests and having mathematicians who've looked at the content of the two tests, they will tell you there's a huge difference because PISA tests math content that is about at the grade 4 level. Remember, it's testing skills for 15-year-old, what the average 15-year-old or adult needs to know and be able to do. That is not what the high school curriculum needs to know. Now, let me give you some other facts about the tests that are coming. They will be very lengthy. We already know that the time involved may be from 7 to 9 hours overall. That's a lot of time for testing and teaching to the test. Secondly, they are very costly, as we've heard, and that is where the big money is being made in the technology that's needed for the infrastructure of these tests. But I have been asking about and still cannot give you information on what the college readiness level means in grade 11 when the test will be given that has high stakes consequences for credit-bearing courses at your post-secondary level. In math, mathematicians have estimated that Common Core standards end up at about what they would call Algebra 2 light. The test will have a cut score, which has not been determined. If it has, it hasn't been announced.
Define cut score.
Cut score is the pass score. That's going to be a little lower. So if the math coursework that kids take under Common Core goes up to about Algebra 2 light, the pass score will be somewhere between grade 8 and grade 9. That's what you have to understand as the important ultimate score that your kids are going to be judged on. In English, we do not know what the reading level of the passages that are going to be on the grade 11 Smarter Balance or the other test, PARCC, because they only give you a few examples, 2 or 3, but they could be cherry-picked. We still do not know, which leads to the other problem. Massachusetts had on its statute, because it had an excellent Ed Reform Act in '93, that said all used items had to be released for public availability after the tests were given. In that way, everyone in the state could look at all test items to see what their kids had been assessed by at any grade level, certainly for the high school competency determination tests, which took place by law in grade 10. You're not going to know anything on Common Core's tests because nothing is going to be released. First of all, the items will be in computers and they're not going to be made available. Teachers will have no way to see the items that were used. Parents will have no way to see the items that were used. This is why the accountability issue for teachers is very difficult to understand because the teachers have not seen the test items before it's given. They're given to their kids. They will not have had a chance to develop them, to vet them. All of these things they did in Massachusetts. I don't know what happened here in Delaware with the old test, have no knowledge or information on the process followed. But under these Common Core-based tests, no teachers will have had an opportunity or higher ed experts to even evaluate the test items. So you are being given information in the dark without any way to understand what that information means. It's a test score. Somebody understands and determined what it would mean in terms of who shall pass, who shall fail, but why? We don't know. You should know that those parents who opt their children out, if you can do it beyond a 95% participation rate, that makes the test results invalid. A lot of parents in New York State know that. If you get below 95 participation rate at any grade level for any test, that makes it invalid, the results. That's what you aim for. Let me just briefly go back to ELA again, because this is where I focus on. We know that students going to college should be reading at least a high school level of reading. We have no information as to whether the test items, passages that will be used, will be even at the high school level. Many of them may be at the middle school level. There could be a legislative bill or whatever you would develop that indicates that students who want to go to your university system, and I don't know the structure of higher ed in Delaware, that students who want to go need to be able to demonstrate on some test that they have high school level reading skills and high school level math skills. Then you let your higher ed people work it out. It's their determination, because they're the ones that teach most of your kids, as they do in most other states. I've been saying this in every state. Use your higher ed people who are on the public payroll and get them to work out matriculation tests, which is what a lot of countries in the rest of the world use for determining what kind of a higher ed system the kid can go to based upon how well they can read and what level of math knowledge they have. It's not a skills-based test. It's content knowledge and reading ability and mathematical ability to do whatever is needed for certain majors. Without that, you're in the dark and you will be paying through the nose.
I have one quick follow-up question.